I'm just worried that the radio is a little too loud, but it's not really that loud. And once I'm talking, I really don't think it will be. So, but there might be kind of slow spots, in which case. But if I had it any quieter, I don't think I'd hear that radio, and I kind of want it in the background. So hopefully it's not super loud, and I do what I'm wanting and trying to do. I was going to say what I'm here to do, what I'm here for, and yeah, that true, that too, it's true. you know, being here for others and trying to help them. Because one of the things that this channel is about is mental health. Whether you want to call it a mental health condition that you're struggling with, or it isn't, um, you know, mental health can it's kind of the in a way can be so easily affected by what we're going through, you know, as people. And so, really any of us is prone to have struggles from time to time, which affect, yeah, I would say our mental health. So, yeah, be able keep menus follow right. So, and by the way, I should state for anybody who uh, that when I'm doing this, I'm putting lotion on a lot of times, so I'm not doing anything with my hands. But yes, so you know, how's your day going? And you're going okay. Anyway, I'm not going to make too much mention of that because yeah, I'll know when there's comments and I'm engaging and able to help someone. I'll know what that looks like. But will you? I mean, the thing is even if there's not comments, hopefully I'll say something that is helpful and resonates. But what would really be great for both involved is to be about. Sorry, my back is itchy. Scratch my back, as they say, is to be about somebody's specific struggles, and or well, I see in the chat here there's an option to add emojis, which I'm pretty sure I did know that. But in the title, if the other one does end up posting, I mean, some people may think, oh, we're trying to get attention with all those emojis. I kind of said near the beginning why I put so many. I mean, I wouldn't lie. I'm not going to lie and say maybe a little bit I was, uh, or would it be? I'm not going to lie and say I wasn't, which is the right statement for to say maybe a little bit. But no, largely it was the other reasons. And honestly, the emojis are not the most important thing about this. So I'm just kind of situating myself a bit better here. So, yeah. Um, in case I'm doing these in the future, I mean, I guess I could talk a little bit about my some of the things I've been through in my life and where I'm coming from. Um, because people that see this after the fact, since there's nobody here watching yet, but it's just a few minutes in, might appreciate knowing that first. And it just it kind of occurred to me now. So I'll say what I feel is the most important. Um, I am someone who has lived with depression, OCD, somewhat, autism spectrum, and I'm waving this go around. um, I'm creative. I'm a healer of sorts. Um, and sometimes I'm not great talking about myself. But I think those are the main things. Um, you know, and I'm someone who, you know, is a deep thinker most of the time, and I soak up a lot of stuff. I'm like a sponge. So I you know, whether we do it as brainstorming or as state what something you're going through, you know, if you can't pick one, just pick the one that feels the strongest or that comes to mind first, and we can cover more than one, but some of those for like seconds, and then yeah. I know in the previous video I'm going to still try and get this thing to connect and get it posted. This other device here, and I think I left my water out there, so I'm going to go get that. But I had said something about, okay, so this one. So I had something. I wasn't gone very long, just getting my water essentially. I said something about if I was to think of something hypothetical. You know, part of me feels like, yeah, I just wasn't afraid. But then the other thing is that I guess it's either not specific enough or I don't know if it's necessarily reaching. I mean, somebody will see it. Some people will see this, even if it's after. And so, you know, perhaps they're the ones that are meant to, and that this is meant to help. And so, what do I want to say? Because this isn't scripted. Like I say, this is largely, as the title indicates, you know, for you to come and say, this is something I've been stressed about lately, or that I'm dealing with, and and what what do you think I should do? Now, in case I don't get the other one posted, I'm just putting on lotion. In case I don't get the other one to post that I was doing on a different device that the Wi-Fi dropped on, and you know, it was good for like 30 something minutes. And now, one thing I will, well, it would take energy, but I'll take a bit of it to recap. Okay, wait a minute. I think it's back, but I can't double stream, so I'm just gonna end that one and go to this one. I'm gonna try to. Okay, there we go. Okay. They didn't know what to cap or not cap. I know people see them, and sometimes people maybe don't even see the words that are said when something is capped. They just see that it's capped, and you're shouting, "Oh my gosh!" But no, I don't shout very often. I did mention something kind of interesting around those lines the other day, though, based on somebody else that I sometimes follow on here. I haven't seen him live for a couple of days, or YouTube hasn't told me. Um, See, I don't even know, I'm not even sure where to start, you know, unless somebody's say an example. I'm not really sure. I know an area I don't really want to focus on much. Um, and I know it's a big one that a lot of people struggle with. So, and I feel like a while back I was doing a video, and one of the things that I said was kind of like, but if I was to say something on it, um, if it's relationship counseling, as far as like, you know, partners, um, I would say look elsewhere for that. But you must be going through other stuff too. However, and the person left it seconds later. However, and it's not that I couldn't offer support. It's just I don't know. It fills me some anxiety. That it's an area where I haven't necessarily um, well, I have. I've gotten past relationships. It's true. Um, well, I don't like to hear when people give up on each other, especially someone that they, you know, are in a dating or marriage type of relationship with. Um, Especially after long amounts of years. I mean, yeah, I don't like to hear about that. It makes me worry about my own, and even though I mostly don't feel like I have to, I think I did turn it down a bit. And but if I was to say something, I would say that you know seek help. You know, if it's not abusive and you're just having lots of disagreements or some whatever, you know, I would say seek help on that, and I wish you luck. And of course, I guess the different ways of running abuse. If it's not physically abusive, other stuff because it might speak to our traumas or things we've been through, or it might just kind of the way it's the tone it's set in or whatever. It could seem verbally abusive, and I'm not saying that's not nothing. Other than that, even though it could make things more challenging, and if people have tried it, it hasn't worked once, doesn't mean it wouldn't again. I would say less jealousy, less trust issues, talking, communicating with each other, um, and possibly like an open polytype relationship, because then where something may be lacking with two of you, maybe somebody else can bring it in, and that's as best as I got for that. I'm going to try and think of, like I said, I know I mentioned depression, OCD, mental health, kind of in general, sort of, but I don't have everything, thankfully. Um, but the other one just finished. Does this one must continue to go? But I mean, sometimes that happens with devices, right? Um, so if the okay, and some people are really sensitive to like filler words, like I don't think I say it very often, but sometimes I go on long spiels, and other times, you know what numb is like. I just remembered this. It's almost like taking a breath, but verbalizing it. I can't believe I've never realized that before, but I think it makes sense. Taking a breath, but verbalizing it. Blah 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 blah. And it makes you pause for a moment. And sometimes you need to think of the next thing to say and to take that breath, right? So, see, we're learning something already. Maybe I'll eventually think of a cutesy name for this type of video, such as the CEO right, yeah. But right now, I don't need a fancy name. I just have my heart, my intelligence, and my care and empathy to help. We're 14 minutes in. There's one person just tuned in. Is the only person here right now. So don't, and you left. And I understand. Some people are going to come to these videos and they're going to be like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want my problem solved. And, sometimes that may work. Sometimes that may work for sure. Um, Although I would say a lot of times it probably won't. A lot of times it probably won't, because sometimes there really is nothing like being specific. Like I could give advice about certain topics, and it may be helpful, but if it's not super specific to what you're going through, it's not going to sit the same. It's not gonna. It's not or land the same. However you want to put it. You know. Try to think if maybe I want to talk about something that I'm going through, but there are some things I'm still working through, so I don't know. Yes, I could show the power of kind of self-talk and kind of, which I'm sure we all know to some extent, but everybody does it their own unique way, and I could show a little bit about kind of what that would look like, um, and maybe inspire you to try similar. Um, and you know what? I mean, as I say, this isn't really about me in my offering help. If it benefits me, also cool, but it's not really about me. Um, but um, in saying that, it's kind of like, I guess. Well, here's the thing. It's just nice to, if that was to happen, anybody who watches this, I would like you to try and promise, or maybe you don't like that word. I would like you to try, to make an effort to come back and tell me how it helped you, with what you're something you're struggling with and you're stressing about. Yeah, that's very mildly out of the background. If any quieter, it'd be off. I think I did turn down a little bit, so I want it on. So, um, yeah. So, um, one thing I've been grappling with is the concept in some areas of life with manifesting and fake it till you make it. Somebody was telling me today that they felt they tried to kind of get elaboration on it. I don't really remember there being very much of it, and I said, well, with the person I was kind of mentioning in an area, um, him saying, he feels like it's not authentic. In general, that concept, I said, she's very much trying to make it authentic and make it, about the goal and that. But I don't know. I guess in a nutshell, I'm very realistic, and it's easy to tell somebody that when you're at a certain spot in your life, even if it's just a little beyond that person. And depending on your past experiences and and what you've been through in your life or haven't been, um, that's going to affect how you approach those kind of things or struggle to. So I don't know. And for me, I kind of feel like, well, if it isn't so, especially here's the thing: if you've been trying to make something so, trying to make something happen, and it hasn't, then the reality is it's just not happening. It doesn't matter how much you tell yourself it is. I mean, for me, I could easily just say after telling myself that it is, that it's not. In reality, I'm just pretending, I'm imagining, I'm hoping, I'm praying, seriously. Um, and none of those things are actuality. I hope you put the course. I really do. I really do. That'll help because that's what society is built, in steps a lot of times. I can't remember what my answer was, but yeah, basically, and when you're working and you have money to be able to do things, and you have reliable, accessible transportation. I mean, if you don't, things are a lot harder. And as much as somebody can try and want to understand, and I'm not saying anybody specific, and going to use names, and we can talk on the platforms if you think it's you, um, which would only probably be the one person. As much as somebody trying to understand and empathize, if they don't have that struggle in their life, then they don't have it. Then they don't have it, and they may struggle to envision it, especially if maybe they did have it, but they had it so briefly. Like I'm thinking the driving thing, for instance. Like maybe when they were, especially when they want to start getting, or when we want to start getting our own independence and we want to start being able to go to things ourselves. I mean, if you have friends or whatever or family, that can get you places, fine. But it's kind of like suddenly it kicks in, especially if there's peer pressure that, oh, I want to drive, I want to be able to drive, and so then you're gonna, you know, maybe you've saved up, maybe your parents help a little bit, and you get a car, and not that owning a car is always easy, but and then next thing you know, you've opened up so much potential. I mean, like I say, the more you go out, the more you have to put into maintaining the car and stuff, and the more that you're able to go out, the more you have to be able to spend sometimes, often, because very few things are free, right? But whereas if you're somebody who realistically has, either a single parent or has been on your own from a young age, because of parental issues or whatever, then you're not going to have the help to be able to get that first car to begin with, or you're not going to, or if you have different challenges which mean that you probably health or whatever shouldn't be driving, then you're not. And our transit's only getting worse, I feel like. And cabs are expensive, and some of them fake lately. And so, then that's walking and biking. And you can only do so much, especially certain times of the year in certain places, right? So, I mean, it's all really good, but I just don't know if I'm going to be able to focus on it with everything else and not being used, like getting up and going to a place and being around the same people and sitting at the desk, and, there's some routine, there's some things there that aren't there when, well, I mean, they could be, I don't know. Anyway, so that's kind of one thing that I'm kind of, but I wouldn't, other than having some kind of, and I know some people will say, well, that's your mindset. Well, it's also my reality. I mean, I, sure, it's maybe more positive to think otherwise, which, is, faking it till you make it, I suppose, in certain things. But I think you can still be fairly positive in life while realizing your reality and knowing what truly you can achieve and what you may never. I mean, it's so that's one thing. Since nobody's here saying anything in the comments, I mean, I think the title speaks for itself. But so what I'm doing until those comments, I see those ones. So I mean, I see mine. So oh, I didn't have live chat on. Now I do. Um, based on the title, so that I can give advice. Um, and you can choose to take it, not take it, use something from it. Um, and in the meantime, I'm thinking of some of the things that I'm going through and trying to figure out. And the viewer left, and it's not because I am asking for your input. I mean, if you want to give it, I'll hear it. And again, I'll do the same thing. I'll either utilize it, not utilize it, or some. Honestly, if I was to suggest whether the advice was coming from me, you, anybody else, I think the sum category is the sum of it is the best, because we're all meant to hear the observe all this that the things that we have come towards us. Like there is a reason, but maybe not everything within it. Just certain parts. And somebody's giving the effort to put it forth. We should at least consider it. At least consider it and see if there's something we could do with it. And if not, try again or try something else. You know what I mean? So as far as but this method is also because I'm trying to figure things out myself. As far as that thing, no, because she didn't say the following that next day, the Friday, and she did say Thursday or Friday. This particular person at an agency. So, and then also, I don't know, looking at the calendar, I don't know the day of this one. Probably be kind of DL that day. But I'm sure if I have any good ones. But other than that, just going through a slow, somewhat isolated chapter in life, and even though sometimes it feels stronger than other times, it's pretty consistent, and it's kind of frustrating. It's kind of depressing, challenging, but and knowing that I'm worth more than that, and that, but it's just kind of where things are at right now. But anticipation, anticipation is a big one. Um, and I don't know if I've solved that one. I mean, you can't think about something too much because you just have to kind of let it come, and that. Um, it's yeah. I did a previous podcast for 30 minutes. Um, you just have to be patient, and you have to distract yourself, while waiting for what you're waiting for. If there's nothing else you can do but wait, you know, that's a feeling I kind of know fairly well because things are only on certain days or dates. Sometimes often I have a lot of free time in between, and so I'm just trying to make the most of my spare time, such as doing this and trying to be there for you. You know, I know I'm not the only one that feels we don't necessarily have to be close with people to care about them as fellow people, fellow humans, and want the best for them in most cases. You know, so I mean, but 5:30 is crazy. So yes, I'm just kind of I've rambled for 28 minutes or so, and I'm just kind of hoping to help you through something you're struggling with, but you left. It's not gonna happen if you guys keep leaving. Well, no, I should say that it's only happened a couple times, but I don't know if it's been the same or a different person. I hope I have said some helpful stuff in this, though, even if it's kind of more generic or not necessarily knowing, who it's necessarily going to help. But again, I would like it if you could try and put the effort to give me some progress update, you know, on any advice I have given, and if it's helped your situation or if you feel like it's starting to. And then if you need help along the way, I can do that, you know, because you know, the times that I've went through in life where I've uh, not been given an opportunity to help others, as somebody briefly was briefly here and went, um, it really hurts my heart. It really hurts my heart because, again, I know so many people need it. I know how it can feel. So I'm non judgmental, I'm empathic and smart, And I mean, I'm not bragging or boasting. I'm just saying these are qualities that I have. And I try not to jump to conclusions if I am unclear about something or need clarification. Are you saying this, or have you considered this, or are things I'll say. You know, it's way better than assuming that somebody's saying something and going off with it without enough certainty. I mean, you know, when you can avoid doing so. Um, Part of me wants to just do some music, kind of see, but I don't have a lot of energy or ideas at the moment. Can bring you in that way. Hmm. I know there's lots of songs that were probably really good, really fitting, but I'm just not thinking of them. So, just a moment. But when I'm not talking, I am a little bit worried that the radio is maybe being picked up. Because honestly, we do have a pretty good audio system on this thing. And I find people that use a lot of equipment and their videos honestly a bit distracting and off-putting. No offense to anybody, no offense. It's just I know that with pretty basic equipment, I can record audio that sounds just fine, although the other person has a bit more particular. Audio that sounds just fine. Um, and I mean, I don't usually feel the need to use headphones, to be honest. So, um, and prefer not to if I don't have to. So, because I don't really kind of the feeling of wearing them most of the time, or like the ones I was using last night, actually, they kind of had a short in them. But I just realized, okay, I think I want to take the next half hour kind of just to myself since this has been so quiet. And I do have to plug this in. I put it over there and forgot to do so when I started rolling this. Um, and I know if I was to just leave this rolling, go over there, plug this in, again, the radio thing, also some people will judge it. They'll be like, you were, I mean, you made a grand entrance. What are you trying to, trying to be special or something? Well, I'm not trying to be, I am. No, but, or like, you know, you were off the screen. This is 30 something minutes in. You just getting here now, or blah, 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 you know. And again, but honestly, those things are small things for the most part. I mean, tried to use the editing feature the other day, and I think we succeeded. But it's finicky, it's finicky, and those are small things compared to the things that are going on in the world, or what some people are, you know. And I'm not saying anybody's ever said that to me either, but I do think that sometimes maybe people think it. But let them, as they say, you know. Um, I'd like to keep doing this kind of video, this series. I think I've done it 2 or 3 times so far, the past number of months. But honestly, it's either not been seen very much, or the little that it has been seen, it hasn't really there hasn't really been really much happen, much on it, much engagement or communication on it. So it kind of feels, I mean, again, if it says there's some views, and well, then we can hope that maybe something helps somebody. But other than that, it's kind of, so it's hard to stay motivated sometimes. But I have, yeah. Anywho, so I think I'm gonna wrap this up. Keep it under an hour, just over half an hour, and yeah, take care. Don't be shy in the comments, even after the stream. Thanks, and have a good